How easy was pornography to come across?
Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy. It was super easy.
Like, Mom, Dad, don't watch this.
I know.
I had a trunk, and I had ways to hide it, and we had different methods of finding it.
We all congregated at this one guy's house because he had a VHS tape that had something on it that had been recorded from Cinemax.
Hey, let's go up to your uncle, go to the bathroom up there. We take a Playboy in there, put him in our thing, run down the alley and look at it.
She brought out a few magazines. Quick, you can look real quick. Oh, somebody's coming, look at this. And it was a Playboy magazine, and I was like, good night, what are they doing?
And we thought, this is our moment.
You had to be MacGyver to like, you know, to get it, hold it, keep it.
But they had those sex hotlines that you could call.
Oh yeah, the 1-900.
Call me now. They would like advertise it on the late night TV.
But this was, again, a plan, like a detailed plan that had to be enacted.
There was no other way to get access to this sort of thing.
In the 50s, we had pinup girls, Bridget Bardot, Marilyn Monroe, and 60s we had girly magazines, and then in the 80s we had VHS, and then there were chat rooms with webcams, and now we have cell phones in kids' hands.
All the physical barriers, be it physical location, right? Be it proximity, all those sorts of things, be it people, maybe that had access to it, right? None of those barriers exist anymore.
I mean, it's completely different now. I mean, it is like, it's all video, and it's all, I mean, watching XXX videos are a lot different than looking at a Playboy magazine.
The Australian study that found that about half of children ages 8 to 16 had exposure to pornography, and many of those were actively seeking it out.
27%, if you look at the unfiltered internet, 27% of all video content on the unfiltered internet is pornographic or explicit in some way. If I imagine every day growing up, there was a coffee table in my living room, and there were 4 magazines on that coffee table. One of them was pornographic, and 3 of them weren't. And my parents just hoped every day that I didn't look at the wrong one. That is what the unfiltered internet is for kids today. We have put little boxes of porn in their pockets, under the guise of safety, under the guise of overprotection, under the guise of I have to get in touch with my kid all the time, every day, 24/7. We have given them access to pornography that far exceeds anything that we ever were exposed to.
What about porn? Do guys all watch porn?
Okay, I didn't even realize that, but pretty much every guy has like an addiction to it, but no one talks about it. So say I'm like talking to them about it, and I'll be like, oh, like does that guy do it too? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, that sweet innocent boy watches it too, like everyone does.
No, like everyone watches it.
How many guys and girls do you guys know that watch porn?
I'd say all guys, pretty much.
I think I know one guy in my school. I think I've talked to one that I can confidently say hasn't, and nobody else.
You know, it's very prevalent, and like everybody knows it.
They watch porn for fun. They don't even watch it for any sexual release. They just watch it to watch it.
Do you think parents really have any clue of how significant of an issue pornography is in kids?
No, they're pretty clueless.
Yeah.
In 2019, porn sites received more traffic than Amazon, Twitter, and Netflix combined each month. 26% of adolescents aged 13 to 17 actively seek out pornography.
What's that? What
weekly
percentage?
or more.
It is on every platform, even the platforms that parents think it's not on. Just for example, Twitter, which is one that most adults probably use. They probably know Twitter.
Snapchat is where explicit content on Pornhub lives just seconds away from every user through backdoors within the app. The app knowingly allows a well-documented list of porn performers to make thousands of dollars daily through their premium Snap accounts.
The people behind pornography know how to optimize their content for search terms.
Pornographers, any new technology that comes out, they immediately saturate it. They know about it before, as it's getting ready to come out, and they are ready with every strategy to saturate it.
What age did watching porn become common?
I'd say 7th grade.
Yeah, middle school.
9th and 10th grade, I remember guys being like, yeah, like I had an issue in 7th grade, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
What I say to parents is it's time for every parent on earth to leave the ignorance of the land of if and embrace the reality of when.
The film we'll see this morning will give the answers to these questions. It will also show the earliest phases of growth, as well as the changes that take place during childhood and adolescence.
So when my parents were addressing the birds and the bees with me, there was no conversation.
I walked out more confused after the conversation than when it started.
We don't talk about those things at all. Now, sex. Sex. Wait.
It's absolutely normal to be curious about sexuality. It's normal to be interested.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die. Just don't do it, promise? Okay, everybody take some rubbers.
My dad had conversations with me when I was a teenage girl. Like, I asked him, and he was very blunt and just told me.
Do you think kids are using pornography as sex education?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like they don't want to like talk to like a parent or like a guidance counselor or anything like that because it's awkward. Like it's an awkward topic to talk about.
Like I said, I have 3 classes right now, and they all are going like over like sex ed type things, and it's really boring. So a lot of the times I just kind of like tune it out.
This is a tool for sex education for a lot of children. They are learning so many wrong things, not only about sex, but about relationships.
Guys, especially our age, like they just like watch porn to like be fulfilled in their own ways. So then they're just like if my girl can't do the same thing that these people are doing, like then something's off. I don't want to be compared to like a porn star. Like
Analysis of the 50 most popular porn videos found that 88% contain physical violence and 49% contain verbal aggression, mostly against women.
There's like certain guys that I've hooked up with, and I'm like, this is really aggressive, like this is too much for me. And then I'm like, and it's just terrible. I'm like, this is so bad. Like, because I haven't had sex yet, like people, or like the guys will like ask, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that with you. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like, they get so mad.
Guys get this image in their head that that's how intimacy goes and that's how sex goes. And
there's definitely a bigger population of guys that feel that way now than there were even like 5 years ago.
The science is still emerging, but I just happen to live in the camp that when young people are exposed to large amounts of pornography, it shapes the way that they see other people. I happen to be somebody who at a very young age was exposed to pornography. I discovered a stack, of magazines when I was way too young. And that planted a lot of curiosities in me that I wasn't ready for, quite honestly. I didn't know what to do with that. And we could talk a long time about what that did to me later in life and what that did to distort just my views of sex and intimacy, even as a young adult and as a married man, even leading to an addiction of my own to pornography that was destructive in a lot of ways. And that was years ago, but I can link all of those things together. And I'm a guy that did not grow up in the digital age, yet I was exposed to something that I wasn't ready for. I didn't have anybody who was giving me any sort of baseline to compare that to, so a combination of that early exposure plus the internet became a very toxic thing for my life.
I feel like a lot of porn does, show the woman as more submissive, and it kind of puts that idea, in boys' minds.
It just leads to guys objectifying women a lot, and then they forget about the whole relationship part, and that's all they think of now is just sex, because that's all they've seen.
I know we've been talking about a lot of guys are into pornography, but a lot of girls are too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't even think parents have the birds and the bees talk anymore, because kids will know about it by the time they're 8 if they have access to social media.
Yeah.
It's just honestly effed up.
But it's just faster now, and it's younger.
20% of youth report that they came across it, children, that it was unwanted.
But we can now be in different places, and we're in a group chat, and somebody shares it, everybody's got it if they open it.
And in the elementary schools that I'm in, I typically hear counselors saying, yeah, we've got kids that are already seeking it out in the elementary school age.
Sex is not something that is easy to talk about with your kid at any age, but it's something that you absolutely have to talk about, and at a younger age than you might think, because even if he couldn't access pornography on his personal device or through our home, cable, somebody on the bus probably could.
This mother proceeded to tell me her son was 11 years old, but when he was 9 years old, he went to sleep over at a friend's house, a family that they knew quite well. And this son, his friend, showed him pornography, hardcore, really horrible stuff on the iPad at this sleepover, and then proceeded to practice that pornography on her son. That was when he was 9 years old. Okay, fast forward 2 years, he's now 11. He's never told anybody about this, but mom has noticed that my son just isn't happy anymore. And she sat down and had a conversation with him and found out through this conversation that for 2 years he had held on to this secret. And that he felt so much shame and guilt that there was something wrong with him, that he did something wrong. And so for 2 years he held on to this corrosive secret that started on an iPad. The number one common denominator of those who abuse other kids is an early exposure to pornography. Because what they see, they feel neurologically compelled to do.
I guess my first boyfriend was, I was college age when I had my first boyfriend. We would have hay rides or winter roasts, or it was more like just groups of people. Now, after you finished 4-H, they had what they call real youth, and that's how I met my husband. We would meet once a month and maybe have a dance, or a lot of it was square dancing. And everybody would bring food, and there were a lot of marriages. My friend Mary Lou and I both met our husbands through Rural Youth, so that's how I met my Mr. Right.